So hi everyone and welcome to Architecture in the Den, and this week I'm delighted to welcome Adrian Alexandrescu onto the show. And so we're going to be talking about architecture collaborations. So Adrian, without further ado, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. And so my name is Adrian. I am an architect. I'm practicing from London currently. And between work and my spare time, what I do is I collaborate with people internationally, working on designs that we think have a positive response to the different crises that we are facing today. And we interrogate concepts regarding alternatives with building, living, playing. So we are quite excited about the green architecture, the circular economy, and trying to contribute as much as possible to the world around us.
Okay, so that's awesome and really exciting. Let's just kind of how did you get to that point? So where are you working? Where are you working at the moment?
Currently I'm in a transition period, so I'm moving from one practice to another in London.
Yeah.
I've started when I came to London quite a decade ago. I mean, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
And I came here to study at university, and I found the experience so rewarding.
Yeah.
Because it was constantly a hustle and bustle of people coming up with ideas, other people saying that those ideas are not good, people going back to the drawing board and figuring out ways of doing things better or nicer or whatever. And those elements really triggered in me a passion for engaging with other people and listening to different ideas, even though sometimes, I guess, just like everyone else, you know, you fall in the trap of someone saying, oh, you know, you must work on your idea, and you go like, damn it, they don't know what I'm talking about. They don't understand me. So I think that's one of the interesting parts about collaboration, and it's a constant process of learning and growing and getting better, I guess.
So I'm trying to kind of work it all through. I'm trying to kind of work out where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Romania. I came over for university, then I've done my part one in Beijing. Yeah. I went over there, worked with a local practice in Beijing, and they were employing a lot of people from all over the world. So we had people from Spain, from England, obviously people from different parts of China. And it was a wonderful place.
So you went straight to China out of Romania?
Out of undergraduate. So I've done
your undergrad?
Anglia Ruskin University in Essex.
Right. Okay.
And the initial experience at university was quite. They were focusing a lot on let's say technology and really practical elements of architecture. Yes. And coming out of that experience, I was like, you know what, I really want to try some crazy things, things that are never going to be built, but I'm really interested in some competitions. I'm really interested in just exchanging some ideas and seeing new places. It was one of the main things why I went to China. I just wanted to see how it is. And the work there was really interesting in the way in which it was bringing so many ideas to the table, and we weren't just, let's say, everyone was an intern, and no, we kind of had people which were interns but were working as architects. And
how did you get a job in China?
It was a fascinating process, because I saw the ad. I applied.
Where was the ad?
It was on the zine. It was on on the zine jobs. If they give me a sponsorship or whatever from each time I say the zine, they give me £100. I'm happy. I saw the advert, And I sent an application because it was that process after undergraduate where is that summer you're just making your way through whatever's until you get a proper job. And I applied. 20 minutes later, they sent an email saying, do you want to talk in about an hour for an interview? I said, okay. An hour later, I have a conversation with them. We talk about different things, experience, so on and so forth. And by the end of the day, they were sending me a letter to go to the Chinese embassy in order to get my visa.
Oh my word.
So going from having nothing, you know, kind of working with the accommodation office over the summer period and kind of doing some help with the university to having a job in a day, for me, it was, wow, okay, this is a good start.
Really exciting. And that's such a great kind of introduction to an architecture career, just in terms of where's the world going to take you? Where's architecture going to take you? I love it.
Exactly. And it was even from my parents, it was when I told them the story, they were thinking, well, have you thought about this? I mean, are those guys legit?
I did. Yeah, so it reminds me of when I did my part twos, or just after my part twos, I had a friend that said that she was going to go and work in New York, and was like, oh, okay, I'll come and join you. So I went to work in New York for 6 months. But back then, this is like 25 years ago, so it was a case of sending faxes over.
Oh dear. I never had to send one.
What a fax is? That's how we communicated. There was a book with a list of phone numbers. You faxed your CV over, or you put it in the post.
I only played on a fax machine in my mum's office, so.
I mean, just, you know, the idea of kind of doing what you've just done with the email and a job in China, that would take months.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. So what did I do? I sort of had a list of practices I wanted to work at. I got in contact with them, whether I wrote to them or faxed them. I arranged a number of interviews in New York. I went out in the February, had an interviews at 6 or 7 places, and then I think I kind of got job offers over the summer. So February,
oh wow,
March, April, May, June, and I think I went out in October.
And also, you're really committed to fly there for the interviews.
Yes. You know, I was like young and newly qualified, and you know, a bit of disposable money, and I went to friends. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to New York, darling, for a week. Interviews. It was fun. And then when I went out, I think I went out like 2 weeks before the job started to find an apartment. You couldn't do any of that online.
Yes.
Yeah, so I sort of stayed at a hostel or something like that, and I was like job hunting. We used to have to wait for the Thursday edition of the Village Voice to like the newspaper.
See the adverts.
Delivered to various places to see the adverts. And I can't remember where you could get that, you know, it's like get it first thing in the morning, and you were on the phone to like 30 places. Oh no, it's just gone. Oh no, it's just gone. Oh, for a place to live. And you know, finally, you know, I found my apartment, and I was subletting from a professor who had a 5-year-old daughter, and she lived in Soho. It was on West Broadway and Prince, I think it was. I don't know if you know New York, but it had the classic view of the Twin Towers before 9/11.
Yeah,
it had the classic view of the Twin Towers at the end of the road. You know, so that was like.
So I guess you paid a premium for that.
Yes. And you know, she really properly interviewed me and grilled me. You know, she must have seen like 10 people. It's like, do you want this apartment?
I won't say you got an interview for the job. You had an interview for the house. It was.
Yeah, that was like really tough. Trying to find decent accommodation. Anyway, but you know, the whole process.
Yes, exactly. And I guess in terms of waiting, and we're so expecting those days. You know, you have your prime delivery, your next day delivery, and you pick up the Zoom call, and you're across the world.
I can't comprehend how I did it. I can't, you know, because I'm so, you know, live on my own.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just, you know, it's like going back to, I think the first bit of tech I had was a pager.
Oh wow. The one that you had to find a public phone in order to make the call.
Yes. So I remember going to New York, I think, with my pager and my Sony CD Walkman.
So you didn't have the cassette player. You were modern.
I had my CD, yeah, and I thought.
And how was that kind of?
All the technology.
and you were newly qualified at that point.
Yeah.
And how was the experience of transitioning from a university in England to working straight into in the US?
In the US, it was interesting. I'd done my part 3s with Ian Simpson. He's now Simpson Huff, and you know, that was a really intense experience. You know, we kind of did a lot of master planning, you know, did that a lot of that long hours work culture, and it was exhausting, and I had a bit of burnout after that. So actually going to New York was time off. And it was like so I'd got my job, you know, my 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or whatever, and it was for an architect called Steve Blatz, and he did a lot of high-end concessions design.
Okay.
So it was like makeup stands in airports, and there was a design book, and then you did site specific.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, but that's really interesting, because I have a friend in Switzerland, and he was saying the same thing, that they also, when they design quite specific to do with the health industry and factories or hospitals or whatnot for the health sector, he was saying that, you know, you can't just start designing things. You go through a catalog. Those are the prescribed elements that you can use. This is how you can use them, and on you go. You know, you have a certain tiny moment of creativity in which you can actually explore things, but a lot of things are so prescribed because it needs to be a standard, and doctors need to be able to go into a room and know exactly where everything is, how to quickly get stuff, how are they sorted, where are they put, how are they open, and everything is really well regimented in the design process. So I guess it's quite similar to what you are saying.
Very similar, yeah. I mean, it was just it was dull. It was really dull. I mean, I kind of met some interesting people, and you know, kind of met up with a young architect outside of the business, and kind of did a little bit of work with her. But what I found in New York was the cost of living is so high that the people that I were meeting were having to work in like 2 jobs, 3 jobs to make ends meet. So no one had any spare time.
Yeah.
So there was just no quality of life whatsoever. So
I want to say not very different to Beijing, and it wasn't necessarily because things were expensive, but because you were working constantly. So you just didn't have any time to spend the little money that you were making. So
So what are you doing in Beijing?
Well, kind of on the flip side of what you were saying, we were doing all the most interesting projects.
Yes.
All the kind of creativity was turned up to a max.
Yeah.
Nothing was built. Nothing was, nothing reached the site. And it was a constant turnaround of competitions, of new ideas, of new projects. And again, kind of going back to the collaboration, working with different people from different areas, from different cultures, from different walks of life, you have this amalgamation of ideas, and you need quite a good steer in order to get something which makes sense.
Right.
Because otherwise everyone comes with their own points of view, and everyone has an idea which works in a particular context, and then you're bringing them all in to design for something which I found was completely out of the realm of what I was trained to, or what I was prepared for. So then you have to adapt a lot, and you have to, I guess, again, grow along with the people that you're working with and meeting, and the way in which you get down to problem solving and communication is vital then to ensuring that you have a cohesive project at the end of the day. And those elements really kind of set me up for afterwards, when kind of going to masters and resuming the educational, let's say, track, because it got me thinking about different elements which, before, let's face it, without the help of the people that I met, I would have never thought about it. And I guess, sometimes we're so focused on one thing, and we're trying to solve a problem, and we get stuck. And then you kind of need someone to, hey, what about it? Have you considered looking at this or thinking about this? And they kind of get you out of your comfort zone and put you in a position to question yourself. And with that in mind, that's how I then kept hold of those friends and stayed connected with them, because they were constantly a factor in.
So were the other architects that you were working with? Yes,
and some of them are now in England. We just finished a proposal for a project together. Yeah. One of them is back in Spain, designing luxury villas and so on. So we kind of met there, but then we spread back around the world a little bit.
So it sounds like you must have a website or that
yeah,
have a look at, because I'm intrigued.
Yes, I do, and it's it's adrianalexandrescu.com, and in there you
so Adrian, all one word, Alexandrescu.
Yes, all one word.
.com. Yeah, and so if we're looking at it, what will we find?
It will range from the most outlandish ideas that we were kind of putting forwards in Beijing to much more considered projects later on. And I think that was also one of the things that really attracted me in this entire collaborative journey, because working with all those groups of people over the years, you kind of start seeing how you mature a little bit, and the language of the architecture changes, and the
okay, right, I'm going to put you on the spot completely. Right, this is a podcast and a YouTube video recording, so I'm going to share my screen, and then we can hop straight onto your site and go, what is that?
This is one of the most recent projects which I finished with my friend, the one I was telling you about earlier, from Switzerland.
Yes.
It was a treehouse competition.
Yes.
And I know that can be confusing by looking at it, but we do have, when we work together, we do have a problem with sticking to the brief. So I was going to mention during the podcast, how important it is to listen to the client and stick to the brief. but now that you put me on the spot, we have difficulty sticking to briefs.
So I can see a series of, it looks like upturned tulip heads.
They were supposed to be tree houses, one big and one small.
So
we said,
decking.
Yes, and we said, well, we're in France. The project was for a project in France. It was supposed to be for this type of slow tourism, cultural interaction. The site is the Mont Chandelier castle, which is a 13th century castle, which was supposed to be a stronghold, but it got invaded by pretty much anyone that tried attacking it. So lovely place, wonderful atmosphere. It's this lake around a lovely little castle, and we said, well, we're in France. Let's try and think about this idea a little bit more, and let's see what we have around us. And this specific castle is on the Loire Valley, so you have a lot of other cultural attractions, other castles all around the area. And we said, okay, we take the idea of slow tourism, but we extend it and we say, you're on the bike, you're there to enjoy a little bit of time off, you're there to exercise, you're there to be within nature. So this becomes just one stop along your journey from one castle to another. So we create those little pit stops. And we don't just create one or two, we create a little village because it's all about community and people reaching out and engaging with each other. Again, it's about sports, it's about leisure. You don't go into your own treehouse and sit on your own thinking about things. You're part of a community and you integrate. And the beauty of it was that we kept reading, kind of as we were going along, we kept reading the brief and we're saying, we're going a little bit too far with this. And then we were coming out with another silly idea. And it might be too far, but then we come up with another silly idea. And all the while, my partner, who on this particular project, she didn't join us, kept saying, but why are you guys actually doing this? Are you doing it for the competition or are you doing it just for yourself? Because then it changes completely the purpose.
Yeah.
So in a lot of those cases, and kind of this applies to other competitions and proposals that we've done together, it started with a brief. Yeah. But what we found is that it became more about our collaboration and the way in which we see things. And it became this a little bit romanticized proposal, which, yes, it is a little bit about the brief, but look at how our collaboration managed to reach this really interesting thing. And it became a little bit of a reason to stay connected, to get chatting, to have a schedule week on week in which we keep in touch.
So I think I'm going to stop share. Okay, so we are already near the end of the time.
Oh dear.
What can we learn about this collaboration, the collaborative process, and what can we learn in the industry from it?
And because I was thinking about this a couple of days ago, and I think you had Catherine Davis previously on your show, and you guys were really talking about listening and understanding the process of solving problems and addressing the client's, let's say, requirements and needs. And I know that your practice focuses so much on getting that connection, getting that collaboration, pretty much to the next level. So I think that, and I was going to agree with your conversation back then, that it is about leaving the ego behind and focusing on that, on this mutual understanding, because in projects, we don't just work amongst architects. We became quite good at communicating amongst ourselves. But we need to understand so many other professions, the engineers, the clients, the developers. We have to kind of quit the ego design and focus, like MVRDD was saying, focus on the we go. Focus on the, yes.
On the we, the we go.
We go.
WEGO, not the ego, the we go.
The we go. And it was
Sorry, who said that? Who said that?
That was Winnie Mass from MVRDD. They created MVRDD.
MVRDV.
And they were doing this project a couple of years ago about how the places that we live in need to be more personalized to our characters, to the way in which we live.
Yes.
So that becomes then quite, let's say, the driver. And if once we expand the thinking from, from an apartment to a house, to a community, to a master plan, then we start seeing, let's say, the end goal of addressing problems like climate change, like pandemics, like economic crisis, mass migration, because I think that as architects, we are in a really interesting position where we have the ability and we have the skill and we have the understanding to address some of those elements. However, we are kind of addressing just some of the elements. So we need that collaboration. And we need to drop the ego in order to be able to create a solid team around us or in collaboration with us in order to address some of the larger issues, not just the small ones.
I think that is a perfect place to stop. I think I could carry on this conversation.
I know.
I think we need to stop. Okay, so if anyone wants to sort of check out Adrian's work, I'll drop your link in the bio or whatever, the description. So thank you very much for coming on. So
thank you, Lisa. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. So this has been Architecture in the Den with me, Lisa Rains. If you've not heard this before, as Adrian alluded to, I run a franchise business called Pride Road, and it is a franchise, an architectural practice franchise. So we offer a business in a box to people who want to set up their own practice, focusing mainly in the UK. If you found this episode interesting, as you may be aware, it's available as a podcast on Spotify or on YouTube on our YouTube channel. If you like it, please do like it. If you really like it, please share it. And if you'd like to come on as a podcast guest, please get in touch. Okay, well, I'm going to say goodbye and see you on the next podcast.
Thank you.